What are some of the things you're excited about trying to improve your cold outreach process?
I think with this particular model, it's worked really well. I wouldn't change much at all, but
If you find a winning formula, keep doing it, keep replicating it until it doesn't work anymore, and then try something else. What are some of the mistakes you made when you first started doing cold outreach?
some of the mistakes, I think,
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SalesRobot Customer of the Week, a new show where we interview the best SalesRobot customers and go deep into their targeting, messaging, and personalization tactics so that you can take away something, implement in your cold outreach starting tomorrow. Today, we have Peter Jenkins from Skin Federation. Welcome to the show, Peter.
thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So let's get right into it. What does your business do and how do you make money?
So Skin Federation is a skincare brand specialized in products for women's intimate areas. So a very specialized niche industry that we do focus on. And it's an area that, we develop all of our products, we develop all our formulations. So it's not white labeled. So it's something we've got our own chemist, we've got our own brand, we've got our own team that goes out and sells our products. So we do work in a very niche industry in the skincare range.
Awesome. So let's get into the campaign that got you here. Do you remember what that campaign was about?
I think the one you're referring to was our campaign where we're trying to get into Indonesia. So we're actually looking at opportunities on which countries to move into next and expand our reach. Indonesia was a country that we decided was of interest. We didn't know a lot about Indonesia. We didn't know a lot about the skincare industry over there. So we wanted to set up a campaign more so to build a network of people that may be able to help us out and also understand what we may need to move into that industry. So it definitely wasn't a sales-based campaign. It was a networking-based campaign that we set up.
Yeah, and I think it worked brilliantly. So I will not bury the lead. I'll just share my screen and show everyone the numbers. This is the campaign you were running it for 3 months. You've got about a 50% acceptance rate, which is pretty good. The average is about 20%, so this is way above average. And then you've got a 21% reply rate, which is above average as well. So yeah, this is worked beautifully. But just let's get into the targeting strategy. How did you build the list? Like what titles were you going after? What kind of company?
So we were pretty flexible. We were looking at anyone in the skincare industry. So pretty much through a LinkedIn search, we were looking at anyone that was basically involved in the skincare industry. So whether that was distributors, whether it was retailers, whether it was people working in the shop, whether it was influencers, even other manufacturers. And the whole idea was to just introduce ourselves to them. And the outreach was around building a community of Indonesian skincare professionals. So that was the main key that we wanted to reach. We wanted to build a network of people in the skincare industry. And, the 50%, and it's still going up. We're still getting people now accepting our invites and replying. I think it was actually 48% yesterday when I looked at it. So it's hit 50% today. So it's ticked over. So we're still getting feedback from there. And so it's been really, really successful in regards to building that network on LinkedIn, which we can then build further on later on those relationships when we do look at moving into the Indonesian market.
Absolutely. No, I think this is a good strategy because you were definitely just exploring that country. You were not going in for the sale. I think those kinds of approaches tend to work the best on LinkedIn because that's what it is. It is a networking platform. So if you try to sell too hard without even establishing a little bit of, rapport first, it doesn't work that well. So I think this is a brilliant strategy.
Yeah. I'll follow up from that. So, we did set up to warm up the audience. We looked at their profiles. We looked at, we followed them. So we really warmed them up before we actually went into that first message. The first introduction message we did send, the connection request, we are talking about building a network. It was very specific and also talking about, it's a new challenge for us. So we're very open about, this is something that, we need to help in, and hopefully building a network is going to help us with that, and hoping that they're open to accepting our request. So that has worked really, really well. Even though the chance of success said 63%, it was actually quite successful. And we will be following this campaign style again. Like Indonesia is just one country where potentially you are looking to move into. There is the potential that we're going to look into other countries as well. And we'll probably run exactly the same campaign because we know it worked And the whole idea, this was a test bed for us to trial this to see whether we could generate interest or we could learn about the country we're moving into as well. And then once they did accept that, the follow-up message was all about asking for help, right? Not trying to sell to the people that we've connected with, but it was actually about asking for help. And the responses were absolutely amazing. A lot of the things that we learned through that, which is what we needed to know. We wanted to know what some of the barriers were in there. We wanted to know how to get to market there. And it was a very, very good way to do market research. It saved us a lot of time, diving in, doing our own research, searching, things like that. People were very forthcoming in helping us with a lot of information and then offering up their services for us later on when we do move into the market. So it's really helped us build a potential big network for when we do potentially move into that Indonesian market.
This is amazing. This is some of the best copywriting I've seen on this whole platform, because what you're doing here is that, like, this is the killer line for me, right? Because you're being vulnerable, you're showing that, it's something that's new for you, because people like helping people. They don't want to be sold to. They don't like being sold to. So this is where you're just treating this as a mixture of networking and market research. And at the same time, showing your vulnerability, which is a massive, advantage to anybody else who's just going in and saying, hey, I have the best internet skincare brand on the market, which, just puts up their walls even further and doesn't let you connect with them.
Exactly. And also, it's now built that network for us on LinkedIn. They will start seeing what we're doing. They will start being more familiar with the brands. When we do enter the market over there, they're already warmed up. So if there are people, buyers, for example, we have got buyers, we have got manufacturers, we've got distributors. So the people that we have networked with are quite varied, and we're going to need all of those style of people when we do move into this market. So now we actually have warm leads to speak to already when we do need to go back to that point. So it's really about building that network, learning, and then hopefully opening doors in the future if we do decide that Indonesia is going to be that next market we move into.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the copywriting on this one is great, right? Because you're saying that I'm relatively new to this, and guidance would be valuable. Insights, you're asking for insights, and then you're basically showing that you're not just taking, you're also giving, right? And in the last line, you're saying if there's anything I can support you with, whether it's product insights, samples, collaboration ideas. So I think this is a very nice line message. It's not too long, right? It should be about, I think, 70 odd words, right? So it's definitely in that sweet spot, a little bit on the higher end, where it does cover everything that you want to say to them in the message, while not being pushy. So I love this. It's probably my favorite copywriting lesson of this season.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get into some of the replies then. Do you have any particular reply that you remember that's out to you?
We've had so many, and what we did find is, and I do a lot of market research in my other day-to-day job as well. What we found was probably from the first 10 responses we get, things start to become duplicated. So, we started to hear about what the key things we'd have to do, like registering products, tailoring the products to the conditions of Indonesia. So it's a lot more humid than what we get here. So tailoring the products slightly. There's a big push with social media and TikTok and having influencers and, how much of an impact influence. So we learned a hell of a lot. There were so many great responses. I think we're up to 60 something responses. We've tried to reply to, I think as of Friday last week, I had replied to all of those. I think we've had a couple more coming through. So everyone that actually did reply to them, obviously we got there and we replied back personally. We've had some long conversations with some. I think this one here you're scrolling through at the moment. We've actually had quite a few back and forth conversations, supplying great information around demographics. Like this sort of stuff would have taken us a long, long time to generate by itself. Yet people very forthcoming in just sharing information with us of what they know with the market. And then also that last line you can see there, let us know how we can support you in your next steps. Like there's been so many like that where people are being, hey, we love what you're doing. How can we help you? What would you like us to do for you when we get there? So, it's opened so many potential doors when we do push the button to move into Indonesia.
Yeah, no, I love that. This is an example of a very successful SalesRobot campaign. So this is how it's done. All right. So with that, I go into my next question. What are some of the mistakes you made when you first started doing cold outreach?
Some of the mistakes, I think, the first time we did stuff, it was more about sales focus. They definitely didn't go down as well. We didn't warm up the audience probably enough as we should do, but that was still, even though we might feel like it was a mistake at the time, that's part of the learning. So I think you take everything that you do and build on it. While yes, I feel like it was a mistake now, when I did it, I didn't feel like it was a mistake. We've learned and we've picked it up and we've focused it in a different area. I think the other thing that we got surprised about with this, we did have such a rapid response, although it did take a long time for the whole campaign to run just due to, limiting the number of emails that you're sending. So you're not going to get caught up in spam and things like that. So it did take a while for us to run that campaign. I think it went for about 2 months or something. So it was a long time for us to reach those numbers. But then when it did hit, it was keeping up with the replies. A good problem to have, don't get me wrong, totally amazing problem to have, but it was a struggle to keep up with the responses because we did want to respond to everybody personally once we had started that engagement.
No, definitely. That's a great problem to have. And this is something I hear very commonly in the podcast, is going in with a salesy approach. But yeah, you live, you learn. That's a mistake I made as well very early on. So that's how you.
And I probably would have started with a smaller group. Like we did go for a big group in this campaign. So that's probably another learning is probably would have been worthwhile starting with a smaller seed group and trial it and see how we go and find it. I think we got lucky. I think we did get the right wording, the right message in. So I worked with that bigger group, but it took us a lot longer to get to that point where we had all of the connections we wanted.
Absolutely. With that brings me to my final question. What are some of the things you're excited about trying to improve your cold outreach?
So basically running the same thing. I think with this particular model, it's worked really well. I wouldn't change much at all, but replicating it across other countries. So, we're looking at potentially India, South Africa, and other countries also in the Asia Pacific region. So running a similar campaign so we can learn, what we can do in those countries as well. I think that's certainly what we're going to do. Also trying to learn more about how we can do it more specifically around sales. So we haven't been successful in the sales part of it yet, but we haven't also pushed that yet. So, I think we will do a similar thing in Australia to warm up the audience and then go out with the sales campaign after that. So that people know that we're here. They'll hopefully have the same sort of messaging around, can you help us with this? Can you put us in the right direction? And then actually try to go through the softer sales process rather than the really hard hitting, buy our product now, you must buy our product. And actually hopefully get people to help us get sales rather than us chasing the sales.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think this is a key learning as well. If you find a winning formula, keep doing it, keep replicating it until it doesn't work anymore and then try something else, because it's very hard to find something that really works this well. So you should maximize the benefit before you try something else. Awesome, Peter. Thank you so much for taking the time. Those are all the questions I had. For the people who do want to connect with you, where can they find you?
Peter at skinfederation.com, or just go visit skinfederation.com and send us an email. Check out some of the products.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Okay. Cheers. Take care. Thank you so much.